Hi, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to today's show. And today's show is called Are You Letting Judgment Stop You? So let me know in the comments below if you are watching the replay, type in hashtag replay. If you're watching the replay, type in hashtag live if you are live. And today is a really interesting topic. And, I'm talking about judgments and all of us have been an effect of judgment at some point or another. And there are really interesting ways in which we use judgment to stop us, right? So hopefully, today I'm going to talk about that. Oh, yay! I have a lot of people who were on the money call earlier joining up right now. Thanks for joining. So, have you ever had judgments which have stopped you? Let me know in the comments below how you have allowed judgments to stop you. And I'm also going to kind of share a few things from my own life. I'll also look at what people have shared with me and so on. So let's let's see what else is there. Okay. So with judgments there are two different ways, or two different types of judgments. One is judgments of others, right? And the second one is your own judgments. Okay. So now you can stop yourself because of your own judgments. You can also stop yourself because of the judgment of others. And in our lives, we actually probably have done both. We've kind of used both versions of it. Okay. Sometimes we allow other people's judgments to stop us. Sometimes we allow our own judgments to stop us. Okay. And so, let's talk about other people's judgments first. Okay. So, I had someone who actually wrote me a really nasty email a few years back. And basically, she just accused me of being a scam and a cheat and whatnot. And I was like, when I read that email, it really triggered me so much. It really triggered me so much. And immediately, all my self doubt kind of came up for me really, really, really strong. And I was like, you know what, she's judging me so much for sending out this email. And I don't want to send out any more emails and blah 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 blah. So here's the thing, people use judgments to actually control you, right? So basically, that woman, what she ended up doing was controlling me in terms of, I was hesitant to send out emails. Okay. Until I sat and just cleared on myself. And it took me a really, really, really long time to clear on myself. Now, I'll tell you the funny thing that occurred. So she sent me that email, and I think it was during one of the telesummits that I did. Okay. So she sent me an email, and the next day, I got another nasty email from another man. And then after 2, 3 days, I got another nasty email. So when I got three such nasty emails, I was like, oh my God. Now this is a total creation. I have completely created these three nasties in my inbox. Okay. And so it really took me a really, really, really long time to clear all that judgment. Okay. Because I was like, oh my God, want to I don't want to to send out any more emails. But fortunately, it was in the middle of a telesummit, and there was no way that I could stop sending out emails, because every day I had to send out an email, giving people the call in details for the other speakers, because I was doing like 3 or 4 interviews a day. So in a lot of ways, that one was really fortunate, because I had to, in spite of all that judgment and all that self doubt and all of that, whatever was going on for me, I had to continue to do the thing that, people had judged me for. And I think that was the best gift that I could have ever had, you know. So I want you all to actually think about something that people have judged you for. Okay, anything that people have judged you for. Okay, and if you have a charge around that, let's release on that judgment. Okay, so all the energetic and emotional charge that you have around that judgment, let's release on that. And then, these judgments, they feel almost like, knives, or these kind of sharp spiky things in your energy field. Okay, so everywhere that you have been stabbed by judgments, or everywhere that you have been speared by judgments, let's release on that. So now, I'm like a bit of a rebel, and I'm really contrary in a lot of ways. So if someone tells me not to do something, my first instinct is to go ahead and do that, right? So from that particular incident of those 3 emails that I received, what I decided was that every time that someone judged me for something, and they wanted me to stop doing something, I would do the opposite. I would actually do more of that, right? So, everywhere where you are unwilling to do whatever creates the judgment, let's release on that. So if someone judges you for the kind of clothes that you are wearing, okay, and you shrink yourself because of that judgment, and you stop wearing those clothes, what happens? What has occurred is that they have controlled you. Okay, so everywhere that you are using other people's judgments to control you, let's release on that. And everywhere that you are allowing yourself, uh, everywhere that you are allowing yourself um, to in being controlled by other people's judgments, let's release on that. I'm just using the words which are kind of matching the energy that would release it. Okay. Okay. um So, one of the most toxic energies is the energy of judgment. Okay. And judgment can really just, destroy everything that you have started to create. Okay. So, everywhere where you are avoiding judgment, let's release on that. Now the thing with other people's judgments is this, that first they will judge you. Okay. And then the judgment kind of controls you. And also what happens is that within that judgment, then you start judging you, you start doubting you, right? So everywhere you are using other people's judgments to judge you, let's release on that. So now, I'm going to look at like three or four different aspects, and we're going to look at judgments in relationship to that aspect. Okay. So the first one is being you. Okay. So how many of you are using judgments to stop you from being you? How many of you are using judgments to stop you from being you? Let me know in the comments. So, all of that, let's release on that. So, everywhere you are using judgments to stop you from being you, let's release on that. So here's the thing, like the being you bit, it will show up in so many different ways, right? So, for example, being on stage. Okay. So, being on stage, you know, on stage, if you can be you, that's the best possible performance that you will have, the best possible talk that you will have. Being you on a video like this, if I was not being me here, it wouldn't create the same kind of transformation that being me creates here. Okay. But if I have a point of view, if I have a point of view that I have to be in this way or that way, like it's a judgment that I have to look in a particular way, or I have to wear makeup, and I have to have lighting, and everything has to be perfect behind me. If I allow all those judgments to come into play, and then I say, oh, if I don't have all that, it's not going to be great, and my awareness is going into that judgment instead of just being me, guess what it's going to create? It's going to create something that is not that great. Okay. So everywhere where you are using judgments to stop you from being you, let's release on that. Okay, now let's look at judgments and relationships. Okay, so how many judgments do you have in relationships? Okay, and this is not just in relationship with your with your partner or your spouse. It could be in any kind of relationship, right? So so, for example, someone wrote, I'm sorry, your name is not appearing. So people who are on Facebook, you need to just click the StreamYard link and give permission so that I can see who has posted. Otherwise, your name just appears as a Facebook user to me. Okay. So, so say for example, if you have someone in your life, and you are gossiping about that person, or you are choosing to focus on their quote unquote not so good points. Okay, what happens is that, is your relationship going to expand, or is your relationship going to contract? And this could be in terms of people in your family. This could be in terms of just your acquaintances, your neighbors, your colleagues, whoever it is, right? So I remember years ago in one of the Access Consciousness classes, Gary Douglas, he said this. Okay, he said that if you are in a relationship, you know uh, whether you are with a partner, whether you are in a marriage, every single day write down 5 things that you are grateful for about that person. Okay. And so what happened was that at that point of time I was going through a little bit of a situation in my relationship, and so I started writing that down. And to be honest, I didn't do it every single day, but I did do it every 2 3 days. I would start to write down things that I was grateful for. And then, after I had been doing it for about 2 or 3 weeks, I suddenly realized that, my relationship was very different. There was this sense of connect with my husband, which was very different than what it was when I was judging him for certain things. Okay. So, one of the tools that you can use to shift judgments is actually gratitude. So, when you have gratitude, you can't have judgment. Okay. So, think about some relationship in your life which is kind of wonky. Okay, so let's release on that. Okay, so all the um, so all the judgment that you have about that person, let's release on that. And all the judgments that person has about you, let's release on that as well. Hi, Renata. Okay, Susan, see you next time. Okay, so if you are judging someone, if someone is judging you, you can release the judgments you have about that person, and you can also release the judgments that person has about you. And the number of times that I have done this, and I have really seen that big shift occur in my relationship. Okay, so start playing around with that. Okay, so being you, relationship, big part of relationship, judgments, if you start releasing on judgments, your relationship will completely shift. Okay, the next one is, let's look at our body. Okay, so how many judgments do you have about your own body? Okay, and how many judgments have people thrown at you about your body? Okay, so I've spoken about this many times. I think a few years ago, I did this program called Change Your Body with Ease. And one of the first things that we did in that program was, release all judgments about body. And so what I did was that I had people fill out a questionnaire, and in the questionnaire, one of the questions was, what do you judge about your body? And there were more than 60 participants in that program, and I got so many responses from people. Okay, and what I did was I took each response that people had put in, and I created an audio clearing loop from that. Okay, and I gave people that audio clearing loop, and I had them play that audio clearing loop non-stop for a week. And people got the most amount of change in their bodies from that audio clearing loop. It was phenomenal. Not only did they start looking at their body in a totally different way. People who had avoided going shopping because they didn't like to see themselves in the mirror, like didn't like to see their bodies in the mirror while they were trying out stuff, they went and started buying stuff. The other thing that showed up was that for me personally, what I realized was I stopped judging myself in videos and photographs. So I used to hate looking at myself in photographs. I used to hate looking at myself in videos. Okay. And after that particular loop that I also played for myself personally, I found that I stopped judging myself in videos. I stopped judging myself in photographs, and I started doing many more Facebook lives. Started getting much more exposure. Okay, there were people who had physical pain in their body, who had some physical conditions in their body. And just by listening to this clearing loop, which was all about, releasing judgment about the physical looks, okay, they were able to create change in the level of pain that they had. They were able to change the physical condition in their body. It was phenomenal. And I looked at it and I went, wow, how much is that judgment, stopping the creation of our body the way that we would like to. Okay, so let's release all the judgments that we have about our bodies. Okay, so all the judgments that you have about your body, let's release on that. And all the judgments that have been impelled at your body by others, let's release on that as well. Okay, how's that for you guys? Let me know in the comments, how's it landing, judgments about body, judgments like impelled at your body, because there are a lot of judgments impelled at bodies. uh, I've experienced this many times. People have really, judged me for my body and things like that. So all of that, let's just release on that. So that's bodies, which is number 3. Okay. So let me know in the comments, guys. Otherwise, I feel like, I'm just talking to myself and not doing anything here. Okay. The next one is judgments and money, right? Judgments and money. No, actually, let's do something else. Okay. Judgments and your asks. So let's make it bigger. Okay. So if you are asking for something, right? And, if you judge it, what's going to happen? You're going to destroy your ask. Okay. And what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Uh, does that include cancer? Uh, it includes anything and everything. So if you are like talking about cancer, what I would do is that, you know, write down everything that cancer is, like, you have a lot of judgments about cancer. Okay. And I don't mean it like intellectual judgments, but the judgments will be something like, oh, and I'm assuming that you have cancer, but it could, but maybe it's someone else that who has cancer. Okay. So it could be like, why do I have the cancer? And why do I have to keep getting these things? And all the different points of views that they have about cancer, all the different points of views about, how the cancer is showing up in their body, all the different points of views about, all the treatment that they have to go through, and all of that. all those are actually judgments, so you could write out everything. And especially, I would also recommend that they do something like journaling every day. And in journaling, it's very, very simple. All that you do is just sit down and write down whatever is in your head, like from your head to the paper, just dump everything there. Don't look at the grammar, don't look at anything, just dump everything. And what you will find is that after dumping everything, you will suddenly experience a sense of blankness, right? You'll suddenly be blank over there. Now, see, this particular recording that I did, it was only about the physical appearance of the body. So it was things like, these flabby arms or thunder thighs or this big belly, and things like that. It wasn't even about any organ. We didn't include organs or anything like that. Okay. But just listening to that recording started to create change for people. Okay. So if you have conditions going on in your body, I would recommend that you write down all the things that are going on in your body, write down all the judgments that you have about all that, and just start releasing on that. Okay. All right. So the next thing is, we were talking about judgment and your asks. Okay. So you will say, okay, wait a minute, I don't have judgments about my asks. No, you do. The judgment about your ask is, the time that you have allocated for that ask to show up. So you're like, this ask has to show up by this time, or I've been asking this for this much time and it's not showing up. That's a judgment, right? So if you have an ask, you're asking for a beautiful house to show up, right? And you've written out how you would like to have, what kind of energies that house has to have, and all of that. You've included all that. And then what happens is that you go, oh, but I've been asking for this for 6 months and it has still not shown up. Boom, there's a judgment. The moment that judgment shows up, you've closed all the thing that you had created around it. In fact, not only have you closed it, you have actually destroyed that creation. Okay. So all the judgments that you have, that your asks are not showing up, let's release on that. So all the judgments that you have, that money is not showing up, let's release on that as well. So every time you catch yourself with that thought that this is not showing up or that is not showing up, just go, oh, I'm judging that it's not showing up, and just release on it. Okay. Instantly, then and there, release on it. you know so it's like the moment, it's like pressing delete on your judgments. Okay. So just catch yourself with those judgments. So like I said in last week's show as well, that if you did not have, if there wasn't time attached to your ask, would you ever fail? You wouldn't. You would just keep, you know throwing your arrow towards the target until it hit the target at some point. And it could take 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 25 years, and it wouldn't really matter. Like, have you ever experienced that you had some ask and you were desperately wanting it to show up, desperately wanting it to actualize, wanting it, and then at one point you said, oh, never mind, let it go. You forgot all about it. And then after some time, maybe it was 2 years, 3 years, whatever, suddenly, you look at your life and then you'll have an awareness, oh my God, I had asked for that and I'm actually living that now. How many of us have experienced it? And I will tell you 100%, each one of us has got at least one thing which is exactly like that in our life. Okay. So it's like literally when you let go of your expectations, when you let go of your judgments, when you just let that ask go, it will show up. Okay. And many times, everything is, the universe is aligning itself to give you what you have been asking for. So, if you remove time from the equation, then everything that you have been asking for, it will always show up. Just remove time from the equation. Okay. The next thing is, I want to look at judgment and creation. Okay. So somebody just said, I once gave a talk and the organizer said that it was the worst talk ever. Okay. So I meant a creation like that. So, you've already given a talk, and here in your case, you were judged by that organizer, or, you have created something and you are judging that. Okay. So those are all judgments. Okay. Now, here's a really funny thing. If you start releasing those judgments, that creation will change. Okay. What do I mean by this? So, say, for example, you are a painter and you've painted something and then you judge it. Okay. So, all that judgment, it is locked in that painting. Now, when you release the judgment, the painting will actually change and it will look totally different. Okay? Let me give you an example. Okay? So, I always used to judge myself that I don't, I'm not attractive. Okay? Or, I'm not good looking, or whatever that is. Right? So, for a few months, I kind of would wake up in the morning and I would go. I wonder what would it be like to be the energy of beauty. Okay, and I would just like, in the morning I would ask to be that energy of beauty. Okay. And the days when I did that, it was really amazing. I would have people who would compliment me. They would tell me, oh, you're wearing a beautiful dress. Oh, did you have a new haircut? You're looking so good. Did you do something on your face? Your face is glowing. And I started to receive all these compliments and I started to just feel beautiful within myself. So all that I did was that instead of my continuous self talk, which is like, I'm overweight, or I'm not good looking, I started to ask for the energy of beauty in my life. And this is what started showing up in my life. Okay. So if, and you can look, you can use, you can clear the judgment from any creation that you have. Like I said, it could be a painting, it could be, something that you have cooked. It could be, have you noticed that, when you cook, and then when you put in that awareness in the cooking, and you say, I'd love for this to be really yummy and nurturing and tasty. Like, if I put that awareness and I cook, that food really turns out like that. Because by putting that in, what I'm doing is I'm removing the judgment. But if I say, I wonder how this is going to turn out, or whenever I make this dish it doesn't turn out all that well, what am I putting there? I'm putting judgment there. Okay, so here what we are doing is we are adding appreciation, we are adding some other energy like beauty, and by focusing on those energies we are removing the judgment from there. Okay, so what you can do is think about any one of your creations. Okay, in your case, whoever spoke about that talk, you can bring that talk to your awareness. If you've written a book and you judge that book, you can think about that book. If you have some class that you have done, you can think about that class, or whatever, any of your creations, anything that you are judging, just bring that to your awareness. Okay, and all the judgment you have about that creation, let's release on that. So that's a great question. How do you understand the difference between awareness of making it better versus judgment? Okay, so it's not exactly making it better. I'm just choosing a particular energy to have there. So, in case when I'm cooking the food, I'm choosing to bring in a nurturing energy, bringing an appreciation of the food or things like that. And so, when those energies come in, the judgment cannot occupy the same space, right? When I choose to embody the energy of beauty, then again, I'm only embodying beauty and I'm not allowing the judgment to come in. So you can consciously choose an energy. You can choose the energy of appreciation, you can choose the energy of gratitude. So you can appreciate something that the person does, like if it's a relationship, you can be grateful for something that they can do. So you're focusing on, so you're bringing in the energy of gratitude, you're bringing in the energy of appreciation, and so again the judgment doesn't come in. Okay, now she says, I sometimes think about a client thinking they would cancel and it happens in the next 5 minutes. Now this thing is not a judgment, this is an awareness, right? So you have an awareness of that person right now, what that person is thinking, right? Because within the next 5 minutes they cancel. So it's not like you judge that they are going to cancel, but it's more of an awareness. So how do you find out whether it's a judgment or an awareness? Very simple, just ask. Okay, is this a judgment or is it an awareness? So if it's a judgment, what happens is it's kind of heavy, but if it's an awareness, it's light. But what can also occur is that it starts off as an awareness and then you will attach a judgment to it. Okay, so for example, you can you might have an awareness that okay, the person is going to cancel. Okay, so that's an awareness. Okay, but if you have a point of view about it, if you say, oh my god, this keeps happening to me, I keep attracting people who keep canceling, all that is judgment. So you had an awareness and boom, you attached a judgment to it. And so it's awareness with judgment attached. Awareness and intuition is the same. Awareness is much more. Intuition is limited. Intuition is like coming from your cognitive mind, and awareness actually comes from your being. I think that's the only way I can explain it. You can tune into the energy of awareness, what awareness is, and you can also tune into the energy of intuition. So no judgment is actually allowance, and allowance is being willing to have awareness of everything and have no judgment about it. Okay. So like, the client canceled. Okay, so the client canceled, and maybe it just didn't work out for them. Maybe they're having a really bad day, and they don't want to sit and focus in a session with you. So maybe there's something going on with them. But if you attach judgments to it, then what happens is that they become aware of all your judgments, and then your judgments will actually create them to choose whatever your judgments are, right? And it could be like, then they, you might say, oh, this person will never have a session with me. And then they might, they'll that energy will reach them, and they'll go, oh, why am I having this session? I don't require this session. And they might not show up. So the moment you attach judgment, you will create exactly what that judgment is. Okay. So all the awarenesses to which you have attached judgments, let's release on that. So, you know, I think that is it for today. I think we kind of ended up going places and spaces which was like really interesting for me as well. I just kind of had two things in my awareness when I came in. One is, judgments from others, and one is self judgments. And it really kind of showed up in a totally different way. So I hope it contributed to you guys. And please feel free to share this with others, to invite people into the group as well. And I had like a really 2 days back, I woke up early in the morning, like around 1 o'clock or something, and I sat and I actually wrote down the topics for the rest of the year. So I have a topic for every single week till December. So that was like, yay. So let me see what the topic is for next time. The topic for next time is receiving what stops you. Okay. Receiving what stops you. So please feel free to post in the comments what you would like me to talk about with relationship to receiving. Things just pop for me, and just I write it down, and I always love to have your input so that I can include that in my talk. So receiving what stops you, please feel free to put it in the comments. I'm going to also schedule the live with that topic, so you can just go under the comments of it and pop whatever is coming up for you guys. And thank you so much for hanging out with me, for being live with me, and all those who are going to watch the replay, thank you so much for watching the replay as well. And I will see you next week. Oh yeah, before I go, I'm doing a free call tomorrow called the 12 Money Saboteurs. And if you would like the link to attend the call, just let me know in the comments, and I will give it to you. Thank you so much, everyone, once again, and I will see you next week. Bye.